Hello everyone, my name is Anya Hawkins, I'm a knitwear designer. Today I want to show you how you can turn any Colorwork head pattern into matching neck warmer. This here is one of my designs, Ptiloris head. It has a matching neck warmer, Ptiloris Cowl. This neck warmer has very simple construction. It is just a tube with the same colorwork pattern that on the head itself. Basically it is this head, only wider, and instead of the crown there is again a band of 2x2 rib, just as at the bottom. It can be worn like that or upside down. It can be worn with the rib visible or with it turned on the inside so the colorwork is right against your face. And it's such a simple and straightforward project that it doesn't even need a written pattern. If you have a pattern for colorwork head, you can just extrapolate from it and make yourself a neck warmer. And to turn any colorwork head pattern into such a neck warmer, you just need to do a couple of things. And I want to show you and explain how on two examples, on this head and on this head. This here is Ptiloris head and this is Nivosa head. Another my two colorwork pattern designs. They're both free and available on Ravelry, and as usual all the links down in the info box. I'm using two heads as examples because they represent two different scenarios. This one has a pattern repeat of only 4 stitches and this one has much wider pattern repeat. But you don't have to use my colorwork head patterns, you can do it with any colorwork head pattern. Let's start with this one. To turn any colorwork head pattern into cowl, we need to know several things. First of all, what we need to know is gauge and finished measurements of the head in your chosen size. All this info is in the pattern. Any pattern should have it. The gauge is 23 stitches in 4 inches or 10 centimeters. I will show everything twice in imperial and in metric system. First we need to know how many stitches is in 1 inch or in 1 centimeter, whichever you prefer. Take the gauge, 23 stitches, and divide it by 4 inches, and so we know now that in 1 inch there is 5.75 stitches. Or in centimeters, take the gauge, 23 stitches, and divide it by 10 centimeters. And so we know now that in 1 centimeter there is 2.3 stitches. Let's return to the head itself. I wear size M, and while lying flat, the head is 10.5 inches wide or 26.5 centimeters. But it's laying flat. You see only front half of the head like that. We need to know the diameter. Multiply 10.5 inches by 2 and you'll get 21 inch, or multiply 26.5 centimeters by 2 and you will get 53 centimeters. That's the whole diameter of the head. To make the head into the cowl, it has to be wider than the head, approximately 15% wider. Let's see how many stitches to cast on. So the head is 21 inch in diameter. Multiply it by 0.15. That way we will know how many inches is in 15%. It's 3.15 inches. Now let's see how many stitches it is. We already know that 1 inch is 5.75 stitches, so if you multiply your 3.15 inches by 5.75 stitches, you'll get 18 point blah 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 stitches. We don't need to be so precise, just 18 stitches. We will need to add to the cast on at least 18 stitches. If you do your calculations in metric, you will get the same result. Look. The head is 53 centimeters in diameter. Multiply it by 0.15. That way we will know how many centimeters is in 15%. So in centimeters is 7.95 centimeters. How many stitches is it? 1 centimeter is 2.3 stitches. So multiply by 2.3 stitches and we again get the result of 18 stitches. We need to add 18 stitches at the minimum. Now let's look at the chart. Pattern repeat is 4 stitches wide. We need to check if the number of stitches we want to add is divisible by 4. It is not. 18 stitches will contain this pattern repeat 4 times and then half of a pattern repeat. That will not do. So let's up it to the 5 pattern repeats. And 5 pattern repeats of 4 stitches each is 20 stitches. 20 stitches that we will need to add to the cast on. And this is it, all you need to know. Take the instructions for the hat in your size, in my case it's size M. It says to cast on 112 stitches. I just calculated that I need to add 20 more stitches, so I add them and I get new number of stitches to cast on, it's 132. And I can start knitting following the pattern for the hat. I will cast on my new number of stitches, then I will knit the rib for 4-5 centimeters or 1.5-2 inches. Then I will knit from the chart the same way as if it was the hat, but instead of the crown I will again knit the rib for the same length as at the bottom, and then I will bind off all the stitches using stretchy bind off. And done! Now second example, with a pattern repeat that is wide. We need to do all the same calculations, so let's do them again for this hat. From the hat pattern we need gauge. It's 22 stitches in 4 inches or 10 centimeters. We need to know how many stitches is in 1 inch or in 1 centimeter. Take the gauge, it's 22 stitches in 4 inches, and divide it by 4. We get 5.5 stitches in 1 inch. Or in metric, take the gauge, it's 22 stitches in 10 centimeters, and divide it by 10 centimeters, and we'll get 2.2 stitches in 1 centimeter. Now we need to know the diameter of the finished hat in a chosen size. And in pattern it says that while laying flat, the hat is 10 inches or 25.5 centimeters wide. But it's only half of the hat. We need to know the full diameter, and to calculate it we need to multiply by 2. The hat in my size is 20 inches or 51 centimeters. To make the hat into cowl that will fit the way it's supposed to, we need to make it wider, approximately 15% wider. So the hat is 20 inches in diameter. To know how many inches is in those 15% of ease, we need to add multiply 20 by 0.15 and we get 3 inches. And how many stitches is it? Multiply 3 by the number of stitches that in 1 inch. We know it's 5.5 stitches. And we'll get 16.5 stitches. We need the whole number, so 16 stitches. At the minimum, we will need to add to the cast on. If you're using metric, you will get the same result. Look, the hat is 51 centimeters. We want to know how many centimeters is in those 15% of ease we are adding. Multiply 51 centimeters by 0.15 and you'll get 7.65 centimeters. We calculated at the beginning that in 1 centimeter is 2.2 stitches. Multiply 7.65 centimeters by 2.2 stitches and we'll get 16.83 stitches. We need the whole number, so 16 stitches at least we should add to the cast on. Now let's look at the chart. Pattern repeat is quite wide this time, it's 12 stitches, but we need to add 16 stitches, and it's one pattern repeat and then a small chunk. That will not do. So we have two options here, either to go smaller or larger. We can add only 12 stitches, one pattern repeat, but that will make the finished cowl a little more snug. Not by much, we're losing only 4 stitches here. I personally would prefer to go bigger and add 2 pattern repeats. That will amount to 24 stitches, instead of our calculated and desired 16 stitches. The cowl will end up looser. I will gain 8 more additional stitches. I'm fine with it, I prefer a looser fit. In such a case, when pattern repeat is so wide, you often cannot get the desired amount of ease. And then it's a matter of personal preference to go smaller or larger. For the hat in my size, in this pattern, I should cast on 108 stitches. I will add 24 and will get 132 stitches. And with this, I can start knitting. I will cast on, knit ribbon for 4 or 5 centimeters, or 1.5 or 2 inches. Then I will follow the hat pattern, the whole chart, up to here. Then, instead of a crown, I will again knit the rib to the same length as at the bottom, and then I will bind off stretchily, and will have my neck warmer. As for the length of the cowl, you can play with it as you go. I find that the length of 10 inches or 25 centimeters will give you a nice fit. Both head patterns I used in my examples are slouchy, so without making any changes, I got approximately the same length, the length that I like. But if the head that I'm turning into such a cowl wouldn't have any slouch, then I could have added some length in several ways. Like for example, I could have knitted the ribbed portions longer, or I could have inserted some plain rounds before and after it, or just between sections of the colorwork. Or I could have repeated a portion of colorwork, like for example this stripe, I could have repeated it here or somewhere in the middle, or on this one, this middle portion with speckles, I could have executed it twice here, and then those stripes would have been further apart, or I could have repeated it here or on both ends. And in my opinion, that is what makes such a project very interesting. It's very simple, it's just a tube, but at the same time it has a lot of creative freedom in it. Like you can play with colors, you can for example reverse it. It would be very interesting if for a neck warmer you change up the background color and contrasting color, and then they would still match, but it would look very interesting. And again, you can play with the colorwork itself. You can throw out portions that you don't like, and you can take the portion that you like and repeat it several times, and so on. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. And now let me show you some footage of me actually wearing these two cowls, so you can see how they fit and decide whether you like to make something similar for yourself or as a gift for someone else. And that was everything that I had for you today. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!